Hi, and welcome to this blog. It's about generalization and group analysis. So let's start with our case. Now, this was about a 35-year-old man who came to my clinic with severe dyspepsia, heartburn, and flatulence. Now, he's been suffering since about 2 years, and he came in the evening, as I remember, and he mentioned the first thing that he wanted me to work on was this extreme distension of the abdomen. He said this is very tight, especially after lunch, and he said it was like a balloon full of air. He said I cannot sit, I have to walk around in the office after I finished my lunch. My stomach is completely full, even if after I've eaten a few morsels. I cannot concentrate at work. There's just no desire to sit, and I want to constantly move. And with that, he has nausea whenever he overeats, and he feels drowsy and he wants to sleep. And he said, if I eat rich and spicy food, it aggravates the whole thing. So he was very specific. This is what he wanted, and that was what he wanted homeopathy for. So I asked him if there was something else which was going on, and he said, I have burning in my toes. It's like a mild electric shock if I stay in cold water for a long time. So especially in the rainy season, if he walks in cold water. He said, I also have spasms and cramps in my feet when they get very cold, and it's like as if they're paralyzed. If I sit for a long time, he says, my entire body is constrained. I need to exercise. I need to get my blood circulation going. And he feels much better by stretching his body. He says, I have to stretch and really feel better. And he mentioned he would have liked to have been more active and play a lot more. He used to play sports during the weekend, but he just cannot because of heavy work. So that was it, basically. The only thing he mentioned about his physicals was, I do not like the cold. At work, it's sometimes very cold with the AC on, and my body is all tight and caught up and stiff. So he was quite dull and drowsy. There was really no other symptom I could actually get out of him. In a way, he was reserved. His face was really without any expressions. There was no single emotion. So, and obviously because it was, because he had just come for the specific symptom, he just wanted me to concentrate on that. So he was already taking a lot of medication, had a list of supplements, and there was no other issue in a way. He was stressed about day-to-day work. So I thought the first thing which came to my mind was, this is a basic generalization case, because I could find an interesting thread running through more than one area in his body. I realized the tightness and the distension of the abdomen, and he wanted to move and walk, and he was this constrained and caught up, and he wanted to exercise and move and get his blood circulation going. So I find this was a really interesting connection between these symptoms. And so I thought, let's use a generalization approach by Boenninghausen. I did a very simple analysis, and I got these symptoms. So abdomen and muscles in general, I took sensation of tightness, spasm and cramps and being constrained. I took aggravations by cold, sitting, and much better by moving and stretching his body. And I've shown you a brief analysis here using Boenninghausen approach: abdomen in general, inflation, sensation of distension, tightness and tension in internal parts, tense, stiff muscles, aggravated by sitting, and better by motion, and better by stretching out limbs. And as I realized and expected, Rustox just came up very, very strongly in his case. The other remedy I was looking for was Nux vomica, but I just thought this generalized symptom for me was so Rustox. So I tried to start with that. Now, he came back after a week with relief in his body pain, but he said my flatulence and acid symptoms are still the same. So I thought, this is interesting. So I had a look at the prescription again, and I found that the symptoms I had actually prescribed on were common symptoms of the entire Rustox family. Now, that was very interestingly a time in my life when I was working on quite a bit of group analysis. And because I knew there were lots of mentals found in the group analysis symptoms, I tried to find out the physicals of the common physicals in a particular group, of a particular family, in plants and animals and minerals at that time. So I focused a lot on the physicals because I couldn't find a lot of books where you had physicals listed in a particular family understanding. So to give you an example, let's look at the Rustox family and see what are the common physicals. So at that particular time, I had a very basic software I used then, and I didn't really have the bigger repertories. So, but the main symptoms, because Rustox is such a well-proved family, you do not actually need those repertories. So what I found was this. So this is now done using the HomeoQuest software. Obviously, you could do this using any software, but what I want to point out is look at the generalities, and what you find is pain, exercise ameliorates. That's the general. Then you find application ameliorated warm, bathing warm ameliorates, stiffness and rigidity motion aggravates beginning of. All these are really common symptoms of the entire Rustox family. It's not just Rustox. So exercise ameliorates, motion ameliorates, aggravated by sitting, stiffness and rigidity, better by warmth. These are really common symptoms of the whole family. So what I realized was I need to find out peculiarities in each individual remedy of the Rustox family. So I decided to study the individual remedies in the same family for matching the peculiarities in my case, because this was a generalized picture I was getting, and I was prescribing Rustox, and it came up very strongly because it was one of the most well-proven remedy of the family. So when I looked at the group, I found so what I did was I used distension of abdomen as a very strong filter, and I tried to find out what are the remedies in the Rustox family which have distension of the abdomen. And when I was reading, I realized distension in the afternoon, especially at 4 p.m., was manji. Now, I didn't really know this remedy, but I realized this was Mangifera indica, which is mango. And then I go down and you see distension after dinner is an Acardium, distension after drinking is Rus glabra, and so on and so forth. So you get a bit of fine tuning of what each individual remedy is actually representing for distension of the abdomen. And I found Mangifera to be a very interesting remedy. Never heard about it. So I thought, let me have a look. And then I found a proving by Dr. Prakash Vakil, and he mentioned that he had seen mango being used as a specific for hyperchlorhydria and flatulence by some practitioners. And then I went and looked into the Borikes Metroamerica, because that was the only Metroamerica I found Mangifera to be at that particular time. And I read relaxation of the mucous membrane of the alimentary tract, drowsiness, atonic condition, poor circulation, and relaxed muscles. And I thought this was interesting. It's a small remedy, but it has this really peculiar action on the alimentary tract. So I thought it has the symptoms of the general Rustox family, and I thought it has this peculiar action, specific action on distension of the abdomen and the alimentary canal, much aggravated by afternoon. So I decided to try it in a 30C because that was all I could find at that time, and I used a split dose, which meant I gave 3 powders at 3 different times of the day. That was the way I practiced then, just giving powder doses. And then he comes back after a week and he says the heartburn and the distension has reduced by about 50%. And the burning toes, the body pain, and the headaches have also reduced subsequently from there. This was really unexpected because I never ever thought that such a remedy would actually have a more deeper effect on him. And he continued to do well for around 6 months, because that is the time of the follow-up I had for that case. He was given the medicine on 4 different occasions whenever the heartburn and the distension were intense. But eventually he did very well on that remedy, and it took care of the entire problem, because I didn't see him after that. He came as and when it was required in the remaining 6 months. So for me, this case was all about understanding the beauty in complementing 2 different types of ways of looking at things. Now, if this case would have done well on Rustox, I would never have actually gone further and done anything else. That was great, right? If things are working well with remedies we know well, and remedies that have actually been coming up very strongly in the repertorization, then absolutely that's the best way you can actually work with homeopathics, because there is, you want the quickest and the best prescription in the least amount of time and effort. However, if there is a possibility that you need to go one step further and look for other creative ways of how you can actually go and fine-tune a prescription, then I'm all for it. And that's the reason I thought I should go and use the group analysis as a tool to fine-tune my prescription. So hope this encourages you to use this in your own practice, and who knows, possibly you would be able to really work on and effectively solve some of your stuck cases through this way. So let me know how you go, but thank you very much, and hope it helped you.